we encounter people every day that are different than us, that think different than us, look different than us, smell different than us. Just get to know them.
And you work with people, you do life with people like this. Like, you need to get uncomfortable and go have a conversation with those people. Go talk to those people, at least go say hello to one of those people.
Because you just don't know how that can impact them or how they can impact you. You just never know. Welcome to the Crowded Table. This is a place where people can experience grace, mercy, and healing. It's a place where the community can experience what it means to actually feel valued and to be accepted, and a place to grow personally. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel, 76 and Cactus, 76TH and Cactus. Our Instagram is the same, 76 and Cactus. Well, no further ado, welcome to the table. All right, well, Eric and Jeannie here. We are excited just to kind of start a new adventure, as we talked about, which is really starting a new podcast. Well, I say a new, we've never done one to begin with. So this is just us really wanting to share our journey as we've moved from an affluent suburb to now a more poverty-stricken neighborhood area here in Birmingham, Alabama. And really, we are here for the good, to do good. So we're here for the long haul, just to do good. We both were sensing, gosh, now I guess maybe over a year and a half ago, just the word and the feeling of getting uncomfortable, being uncomfortable, and ultimately that led us, for this move that we're here now. We've gotten a couple of questions about how do we get, or why is our Instagram handle 76th and Cactus, or just, we've gotten some questions about that, and really that's from you, really. That kind of came from you and where we're located and part of our address.
Yeah, we're located on the corner of 76th Street, and our front yard has quite a bit of cacti.
Yes.
So since we live on the corner of 76th Street, and we have a lot of cactus, I was like, we should call ourselves 76 and Cactus.
Which is a good name. And then also very fitting, cactus represents, there's some spiritual meaning, some meaning behind cactus, and a couple of those are protection. It's just kind of a sense of protection. And Lord, we know that it will protect you. The thorns, whatever you want to call them, they will shoot out at you. They will get you. But also, there's a meaning of love, of grace. And what a beautiful connection with what we are trying to do here, where we're living now. And part of what we want to do and are doing is just kind of letting this be a place, for everyone, a place of grace, of mercy, of healing, hearing people's stories. And that really, being a place for everyone leads into how we've now entitled the name of this podcast, The Crowded Table.
Right, because when we moved here, we had no sort of plan or really agenda. We really didn't know.
We didn't know anyone moving here.
Did not know a soul.
Which I think was good, or it's been really good, because where we moved from, you and I both, we knew a lot of people. You teach in that area, and so everyone kind of knows you as Coach Christian. And so being able to move here, you and I both, we had no connections, no ties, no contacts. And it really was allowing us to really put our faith and trust in what we were doing.
And so because we had no plan or whatever, we really didn't know what it was going to look like. We just knew that we wanted to come here for the good. But as time has gone by and just kind of letting things happen organically, we've realized that the table is where things are going to happen, because community means so much to each of us, like being in community with other people.
And I think there's something special about breaking bread with others around the table. There's just spiritually there's something behind that, but also, as you mentioned, it's a community. It's just coming together, and so really that is what we want to do. But I think the concept, the crowded table, really came from this cool song that you've known about, and then I was recently introduced to it through worship at church, playing it a couple of months ago. But that's the song, "The Crowded Table," and I thought maybe you could share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed this song. The song is "The Crowd Table" by the High Women, which Brandy Carlisle is part of, and Natalie Hemby and Lori McKenna. Lori McKenna. All right, and it some of the words in the song go like, "I want a house with a crowded table and a place by the fire for everyone. Let us all take on the world while we're young and able, and bring us back together when the day is done." And so I love that song, and as I was kind of looking back into why did they write it, what is it about, what is the real meaning, what are they trying to communicate, Brandy Carlisle talks about in an interview that all the women in the High Women come from different places. They come with different views, different opinions, or whatever. But at the end of the day, they can come together and unify their voices or whatever to hopefully make a change in this world. And I think that's what we want to do, is we want to come together with the people in this community, or the people that are placed throughout our path, and of different backgrounds and different beliefs or whatever, and come together and unify and learn from each other how to be better people.
And I love there's a phrase in there, some wording that it says, if you want love, you've got to plant seeds of love. And I love that concept, because it's just reminding us that if you want those things, then you have to go plant those seeds as well. And that's just really what we're here to do. We're just here to plant seeds of love and grace and mercy with that. And an example, y'all probably hear our dog in the background. He Shug Jordan, he's about 14 years old. You can kind of hear him pitter-pattering. He'll make an appearance once or twice, maybe. But just, what we're trying to do, another glimpse, another story was Friday night. One of our neighbors came over, and then just a few minutes after she was on the porch, one of her friends that we don't know pulled up, and I guess for the whole reason she didn't want to go home. This woman lives in Section 8 apartment housing in the projects, just a few blocks away from us. But she didn't want to go home because
it's so loud.
There's
her
violence.
Neighbors mess with her.
Yeah, her neighbors mess with her. The walls are so thin they can hear her when she's about to go take a shower, and so if they turn on their water, it messes up her water. And I think she was telling us that she can't really she doesn't take showers till 1, 2 in the morning.
Yeah, when they're all asleep.
Yeah, or or has to wait till later in the morning when they're gone. I think there's been some violence over there, but to hear her past, we found out that, and she was very open about this. I mean, she wasn't, she didn't candy coat anything, very transparent, but she worked the streets for over a decade. But she did that to help support her siblings who were 10 to 15 years younger than her. And she was doing this at a teenager up into her 20s. But I guess, as we were listening to that, was making, us like think through gratitude as well, because it was a great reminder that so many people, they may make not so great choices, but if you just step back and you listen, you can get an understanding of why they did it. And I think she was able to explain to us why she did, all of those things. But it was just kind of heartbreaking.
It was heartbreaking because she seems like she's wanting to get her life together. She wants to create like a calm space for herself. Her past seems like so chaotic and out of control, but she wants a safe zen place. She just wants a place to do a puzzle and color in her coloring book and play her guitar, and she feels like she doesn't have a safe place anymore.
She was saying like if she wants to watch TV, she has like crank it up to like 60 or 65
to drown out
the noise. Yeah.
But unfortunately, she also, she seemed grateful for the things that she did have. But she's struggling right now to find a job, like based on her past, like the choices that she made in her past in order to make sure that her family had everything that they needed or whatever. It ended up getting her in some trouble, and so she is struggling, to right the wrong, or for people to see past like maybe her past. And I think that's something we have to do. Like, we have to look past people's past and see them for who they are today, not for the choices they made in the past.
Because we're all created in God's image, and we've all been given gifts and talents, and we all have value. I know research shows that we can have anywhere from 40 to 45,000 thoughts a day, which I can't even count that high. But still, that's a lot. But in conjunction with that, 70 to 75% of those thoughts are negative. But as we're interacting and talking with these people, we can get a better understanding of why they would have so many negative thoughts.
Right.
Especially from Friday night, right? Or we've encountered people who have lost family members right in front of their eyes,
right,
because of violence, or struggled with things like that. And to this day, it could be 30, 35 years later, to this day they're still struggling with that thought process. And I think we're just getting a better understanding and a better glimpse of how they really can struggle that way. And so I think there's one of the things, you and I are working through and talking through is gratitude. Is even in the midst of the pain and the loneliness and maybe the sense of lost hope, that we can still be grateful and we can still have this sense of gratitude, because it's hard to be angry or hard to be upset or hard to have negative thoughts if you are being grateful or you're doing things to be grateful. And to go back to the song The Crowded Table, if you want to be grateful in your life, then you have to plant seeds of gratitude and of being thankful, in your life. But I know you and I, we talk about this, and it's really been on our hearts lately, but like, what are some ways that you're seeing us, as we are walking this journey, that it's shifting our view of gratitude and being grateful? Like, how is this kind of shifting it for us, you think?
Well, I think that I've always known that there are people who think differently than me, do things differently than me, but I haven't always lived in community with those people. Not because I haven't wanted to. It's just
the opportunity
hadn't arisen. But I think that since moving here, it's like shifted my perspective on a lot of things. And it's made me even more grateful for the good things that I have going for me. And when there are bad things that happen, like I can look out my window and see, oh my God, like this is nothing. This is nothing. It could be so much worse. Like I could not have power.
Right.
I could not have water.
Because we do have neighbors right here next to us, around us that go back and forth of not having water or not having power,
but they have so much joy. But they have so much joy and so much gratitude for just a simple conversation,
right?
That it makes like some of a lot of things that I thought were important, such petty things like pettiness. And so I think that's something that I'm working through is like seeing things through a different lens. Like I always knew the lens existed. I just never had the opportunity to look through it.
And I think, you would talk about, there's where we live, it's a different makeup. I mean, like, we have neighbors that don't look like us. We have neighbors that sometimes don't have water or power. We have neighbors, that are elderly, just by themselves, but have a pretty hard past. But we've also encountered neighbors that we've had here at our table,
right,
that had never experienced someone else other than their family inviting them into their house.
Right, and I think that's something that, like, we took for granted, or we assumed everyone has had an experience like that. But inviting them to come over, like, they'd walk in and they'd be like, what do I do? I didn't know what to wear. Like, I didn't know if I was supposed to bring anything. Like, can you just, we'd say, hey, you're the guest. Why don't you go ahead and, you go first or whatever.
Right.
And they're like, no, can you go? Cause so I can see
how to do it.
See what it looks like. And I guess that's just something I probably just assumed everybody had experienced, especially people older than us.
Yes.
Like, so,
much older than us. But I think it's something that we've both taken for granted. Is like we just thought that that's just the norm. Like everybody knows what to do with that. But it again put into perspective gratitude and just being grateful. So I think you and I are taking even the smaller things and we're looking at those in a different light, and we're being grateful for those things. Even if a neighbor just comes up and sits on our porch with us, I think in the past, I know we wouldn't have thought twice about it.
And like we said, like we moved in this community, like for the community, for like building relationships with people, like making this a great place to live, doing life with people who don't look like us or think like us or believe the same things that we believe.
It's just a reminder, like for us, like even just those small things like that, like we don't take for granted now. Like we look and go, okay, I'm so grateful that we had them at the table, or I'm so grateful they came up to our front porch and talked with us and opened up and were vulnerable. Like those little things we don't take for granted. We're flipping it now and going, I'm so thankful, but also it's reminding us, and we were reminded again this morning, at church, that we have a house, we have food, we're okay. Mm-hmm. So many others are not okay. So many people out here struggle with mental illness, addictions. They're not okay.
No.
Well, you know me. I'm from the country, and I gotta have the, hey, how do you make this tangible, practical? What's the the things you can do, to be grateful, to maybe work on your gratitude. And I know for you growing up, your dad found out quickly that if he can get you moving, if he can get you walking with him, that you would talk, you would open up. And so I think you guys took a lot of evening walks, which
almost every night after dinner,
which turned into a lot of talks and those things. So you and I, we do that very frequently, almost every day. But we've kind of changed it from a reflective walk to more of a gratitude walk.
Yeah, I think like when we started, it was kind of like with my dad as a child, like I would just talk about the things that happened during the day, the good, the bad, I shouldn't have done this, I should have done this, like the shoulda, coulda, woulda, type thing. And I think that's what it was when we started doing it as well. It's like we would vent, we would process, we'd reflect, but sometimes, we would get stuck in that negative rut or whatever.
Because we were thinking about the bad parts of
and
our
the conversation
days.
would just get like negative. That we've been intentional in trying to shift our mindset and our intentionality when we take those walks to talk about like the things that we're grateful for. What happened good today? What were some of the glimmers? What were some of the moments that stood out? What were some of those like God moments, things that you could not have even imagined happening, but they happen? You're like, that's
a God.
That's not something that I could have ever done, or
But you have to be. We're learning to be more intentional about seeing those during the day. But I think this journey that we're on, it's allowing us to. And the
more and more that you focus on something, the more and more you will see that thing.
You're manifesting.
You start thinking on the positive things, you'll start seeing the positive things. If you're focused on the negative things and the poor choices that people made, that's all you're going to see in them is the poor choices. You're not going to see the good. So just rewiring our brain to think more gratefully, with more gratitude, with did I say something wrong?
Maybe it might be a new word in the dictionary, but hey, let's go with it.
It's okay. I make up my own words all the time.
That's very true. It's very
all
true.
the time.
That's what makes you unique. But yes, I think we would encourage, and we're not saying this has to be an hour-long walk. It can be 15, 20 minutes, but just walk and say it out loud. Say the things that you are grateful for, whether it's I'm grateful to be moving, I'm grateful to be able to be outside, or start thinking. Then you will start getting deeper and deeper as you do it more often. Like you'll get deeper in those in that gratitude. So I know another idea you say you're not so good at.
No, but I choose to surround myself with people who are really good at it.
Is sending out thank you cards. People that know me know that's kind of my calling card. No pun intended. But I know even for me, I'm going deeper with those thank you cards to really thanking people for how they've impacted my life. Like really get specific of that. I mean, yes.
Even if the situations are negative, you've spun it in a positive direction because to thank them for the opportunities, the things that they've done in your life.
It's hard to be, negative when you're doing something grateful. But again, if somebody buys you coffee or somebody buys you lunch or somebody helps you, just send a thank you card. Hey, thank you for that. Also, in the vein of thank you, is just saying the words thank you.
Yeah, just
to others.
The simple words.
Yeah, I mean that can put
somebody
a smile.
Hearing that can change everything.
Yes, and then I think lastly. Something that we're trying to get better at. We're sporadic, but we're trying to be more intentional. Is a gratitude journal. Just writing down, whether it's daily, weekly, but what are the glimmers? What are the things that we're grateful for that we've seen during the day or during the week, and writing those down, because I know how important that is when you get maybe in a low point or low time in your life, and you start thinking negative thoughts, or it starts going downhill. You can look back in that gratitude journal and go, okay, wow, like, I've got so many things that I'm grateful for, I've been grateful for, and that can shift back into being grateful and gratitude. So I know we encourage that as well. And I think lastly, really just, I'm going to add one more lastly here, but get uncomfortable and just get to know people that are different than you.
It's life changing.
That's life changing.
It is life changing.
And
My life has been changed.
As I say, mine has been wrecked. And we don't mean like, we know what
changed for the better, like changed for the good.
Let's
like,
clarify that.
Changed for the good,
yes.
Like things that
we used to worry about. We're
like,
yes, that's irrelevant.
That's no, like, or just like, I mean, just seeing people differently.
Yes, and we're not
seeing situations differently,
and we're not saying for people to move, to uproot and do what we're doing, but just, we encounter people every day that are different than us, that think different than us, look different than us, smell different than us. Just get to know them.
And you work with people, you do life with people like this. Like, you need to get uncomfortable and go have a conversation with those people. Go talk to those people. At least go say hello to one of those people.
Because you just don't know how that can impact them or how they can impact you. You just never know. God uses people to help spread love and to help make connections, and to show you things that you can't see yourself. Yes, and allow others that are different than you to speak into you. Mm-hmm.
And listen to what they have to say. Have ears and eyes like open to different thoughts and different perspectives and
yes,
different responses to the same situation.
As I'm learning personally, we just hope that others join in on our journey, but also just kind of join in on that, get uncomfortable. Going back to what Bob Goff says, love does. Go love those, even those that are different than you and that make you uncomfortable. Go love them. And so that's just, really just go do. It will be life altering. Well, until next time, shall we say cheers? And I let me see if I can figure out what coffee you made here. I've been sipping on it to try to figure it out. All right. I'm going to go with another round of community coffee.
Yes.
Chicory.
Of course.
Bingo.